So today we want to we turn our attention to the study on altars. What is an altar? We hear a lot about altars these days. Now, the general explanation or definition given to an altar is that an altar is a trafficking of spirits. So if there's a thing or a person, or a place that provokes trafficking, you realize that Jacob said that when he saw in the dream that he had that there was angels descending and ascending, he said, so God's house is actually in this place, and I didn't know it. So that phenomenon of ascension and descension of spirits about people, places, or things is what you may refer to as an altar. So anytime there's a trafficking, we say there's an altar. Now, the trafficking can be for good or for bad. What that means is that there are evil altars and then there are godly altars. Godly altars tend to do good, heal, restore, promote, exalt. And evil altars steal, kill, and destroy. So there are basically two declensions in altars, the good ones and then the bad ones. But we want to look at two words in the New Testament that is used for altars. And then from those words, we'll define altars biblically. The first word used in the New Testament occurs in the book of Matthew, chapter 5. It's from 5 to 23. The Bible says, when you bring your gift to the altar, and there you remember that there's an offense. It says, when you bring your gift to the altar. Now, there, gift to the altar, there you see that one of the things that flames your altar is gifts. But that's not what we are looking at. We are looking at the word altar used in Matthew chapter 5, verse 28. Now, before we continue, the word altar occurs 22 times in the New Testament, but there are only two different meanings in the New Testament for altar. The first one is found in Matthew chapter 5, which we are discussing. The word there in the Greek is Tusiateron. Tusiateron. It's a compound word. Thusia is sacrifice. Theron is a stand. So you have a stand, and then you have a sacrifice upon a stand. Now, what that simply means is that anytime we are talking of an altar, we are talking of a sacrifice. So you don't have an altar until you have a sacrifice. Let's move on to the second place where a different use or meaning of an altar is used in the New Testament. That is in the book of Acts chapter 17, verse 23. The Bible says, as I passed through this place, I saw an altar with this inscription. I saw an altar. Now that word altar there, the word is different. The word there is bomon. The bomon is from another word called basis. In other words, the root of bomon or bomos is basis. What is basis? Basis is a transliterated English word which we refer to as basis. So when somebody will say, oh, based on this, I want to do this, on the basis of this. Anytime you hear the word basis, you're actually quoting the word altar. Now, let's put the two together and define biblically what an altar is. An altar is any trafficking of spirit about a person, place, or a thing based on a sacrifice, based on a reason. So you cannot provoke a trafficking when there's no basis. A spirit will not respond to you where there's no basis. That is why covenants provoke sacrifices. Why? Because they operate on a basis, on a reason, on a stand. So anytime you hear of the word altar, quickly let your mind go on reason or basis or occasions for which the trafficking will take place. Where there is no reason, sacrifice, basis, there will be no trafficking. There will be no altar. So destroy an altar or the potency of an altar depends on the basis, depends on the tusia, depends on the reason, the basis of it. May God help us to know that we need first of all the reason, the basis, the sacrifice for which the trafficking can take place. God bless you and see you in my next video. Shalom.